Good afternoon, welcome back to the Mugello circuit, and here we are again for round two of the Ferrari Challenge. It's the TropheoPirelli cars that make their way out onto the circuit right now for the second event of the season. Having already been to Monza, the TropheoPirelli cars make their way now to this fantastic Mugello circuit. It is round two, with round three to come in support to the Le Mans 24-hour race. Then it's Sochi, Hockenheim, Jerez in Spain, and then the world final to come at Daytona in the US of A later in the year, in fact in December. So this is the circuit location. All the information at races.ferrari.com. The pin flag shows that we are in Tuscany in Italy. The beautiful scenery, and the sun that was here this morning has disappeared under some cloud right now, but this 5.2 kilometer circuit is certainly dry, which is not the prediction, may I say, for tomorrow. So as a glider takes to the air, as you can see right at the top of your screen, we have an air temperature of 21 degrees and a track temperature of some 32 degrees as the spectators look on expectant for a fine TropheoPirelli race to come. Pole sitter is the champion, Bjorn Grossman, who took the TropheoPirelli Championship last year and starts on pole position here in Mugello. Best result so far has been a P3 in race 1 at Monza. Only managed P14 in race 2, but there is Bjorn Grossman driving for the Octane 126 team. His time of 1:52.132, as you can see on the right-hand side of that graphic, enough to give him pole position. Alongside him is Marcello Puglisi, Rosso Corsa driver, who also took a P3 at Monza, but in race number 2 with a non-finish in race 1. And Puglisi did push Bjorn Grossman all the way to pole position today, so expecting a mad dash down to the first turn, the San Donato turn here at Mugello. Philippe Baron then is going from P3, the Rosso Corsa driver, number 91, Philippe Baron, another former champion. And there's some more of the spectators here. And David Gosner then, who is the sole Gosner entry in the TropheoPirelli category, being offered best wishes there by Corinna Gosner. David Gosner then P4 on the grid. So, where are we at? It's Mugello in Italy. Little venue postcard for you of Mugello, and it is a full 30-minute race to come in this, the round 2 in Mugello, and race 1 for TropheoPirelli, with race 2 to come a similar time tomorrow. So Grossman, Puglisi, Baron, Gosner. Then we see Alessandro Vezzoni. They're all pro drivers because there are 2 classes. And last year, this driver, Alessandro Vezzoni, was an AM driver, but won the championship, has been elevated to pro category driver now. And they're a fantastic shot of this Mugello circuit from our helicopter. And there you can see just how undulating this circuit is. Up and down, very, very fast circuit. There is Puglisi then. And someone that will tell us a bit more about this circuit right now.
Hi everybody, I am Claudio Schiavoni, racing for the Scuderia Niki, which is a brand new Scuderia. I'm very happy to be here in Mugello. Mugello is a very interesting racetrack. And I had the chance to drive here with the FX6 program, so I got already a little bit the wind and the knowledge on how to drive it. Mugello is a very nice track, but tricky. It's very fast. You have to manage your car, keep it safe. And there are some particular points, especially all the chicane, which you have to manage one by one. Challenge racing with Ferrari is particular pleasure. The structure is amazing. The people are fantastic, and the ambience is absolutely extraordinary. Please follow us and enjoy the race this weekend. I hope you have fun, as much fun as we have.
So Claudio Schiavone then giving us an example of what this Mugello circuit is like. He, of course, races in the Copa Shell category rather than TropheoPirelli. There's Sam Smith. I was having a conversation with Sam just before we made our way up to the commentary booth. Now, he's an AM driver, but he's the best of the AM drivers to show. He runs from P6 in the grid. And, well, Sam Smith having a good time of it in the AM category at the moment, having taken a P2 and a race win at Monza. And he'll be hoping for good things here at Mugello, and goes from P6 on the grid. The helicopter going down the grid, as we can see, at our commentary position about center screen right now. Affording us a fantastic view of this circuit in Mugello. And race one for the TropheoPirelli drivers is about to get underway. So just over a minute away from the official race start time here at Mugello, and the grid gradually being cleared. Here is the grid in full for you. Bjorn Grossman from P1, Marcello Puglisi goes from P2, then it's Philip Barron, and David Gosner then on the second row of the grid. Philip Barron currently leading the pro points, and goes from P3, as you can see there. All the social media at the bottom of the graphic as well. Alessandro Vezzoni and then Sam Smith. Then we see Jan Dennis and John Ferrano going from P7 and P8 for Scuderia Praha for Jan Dennis and Rosso Corsa for John Ferrano. The next rows of the grid then, and we will see Andrea Segler and Tommaso Roca with Martin Nelson. Expected a better quali from Martin Nelson, if I'm honest, and then it's Benanati that goes from P12. And then we see Peter Noflak and Giorgio Ramelli, and then it is new entry into the TropheoPirelli category, but previously has raced in the Ferrari Challenge, and that is Fangio, who is actually related to the legendary Fangio. This is Frederic Jean-Marie, and the motor service driver going from the very back of the grid. So the safety car has been released, and exactly 10 seconds afterwards, so the racing cars will be released now. So Bjorn Grossman and then Puglisi, and they all make their way now up towards turn number one, which is the San Donato turn here at Mugello. Right-hander. This is the formation lap. All Ferrari Challenge races have a rolling start. They will catch up the safety car Safety car is currently going through turn 7, then we'll ease up and the cars will all catch up with the safety car. They'll be invited into grid order, and providing that race control is happy with the way that the grid is set, then the safety car will peel off into the pit lane and the race start will happen. So all weaving from side to side to get some heat into those Pirelli tyres. We're on board with David Gostner then. You can see third up to fourth gear now. Just see the cluster to the right of the steering wheel, the paddle shift there that he uses, and then looking back from the Puglisi car, the Rosso Corsa car, as he and Bjorn Grossman have made haste their escape from the rest of the pack, as you can see, but they will all join up together. And here comes all the social media for you on screen right now for you to be part of the Ferrari Challenge, and we would urge and invite you to do so. Of course, the website for you to check it all out is races.ferrari.com, or check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Ferrari. There, indeed, the cars have caught the safety car. And the final part of the lap then will be behind the safety car. We'll see the marshal with the grid up sign, indeed, as if by magic. There it is, and there he is. The cars will all get into grid order as they make their way through the Biondetti chicane. And then one final turn, which is the Buccini turn here at Mugello. What an awesome sight looking from on board the Hublot safety car. So around the Buccini turn we go, and 30 minutes of racing about to get underway for the Ferrari Challenge. TropheoPirelli split into two categories, Pro and Am drivers. Keep your eye on the yellow car from the third row of the grid. Sam Smith is the best of the Am drivers to show as we throw the lights to the top of the screen, and we go from red to green, and we're away and racing. A brilliant start there from Bjorn Grossman. Now also an excellent start from Philip Barron. Both of them called Puglisi napping a bit. So Puglisi is going to go back down the order now, because Barron surely will take P2 away from him. Yes, indeed he does. David Gostner follows through. There's Alessandro Vezzoni. Sam Smith is hugging the outside and may lose a couple of places there, because the outside line is not the line you want through San Donato turn. But Bjorn Grossman is leading from Philip Barron. And we have two having gone round, and one of those is Martin Nelson. The other one of those is Giuseppe Romelli. Now, both of those cars have gone round. Doubtless we'll see a replay of exactly how that happened, but this, the opening lap, then Bjorn Grossman, Philip Barron, then it's Puglisi, and then it is David Gostner in P4. So there's Andreas Segler in car number 32. That distinctive white and green livery. Here it is. Here's how it happened then. Well, straight into the corner of Martin Nelson, and Nelson really could do absolutely nothing about that but turn into it. That was a mistake really from Giuseppe Romelli, the Rosso Corsa Pelin driver, that effectively turned Martin Nelson around. Well, both of them are back out on track pleasingly, so I don't think too much damage has been sustained. But Bjorn Grossman, and he knows that he needs to get away, because Philip Barron will be fighting very, very soon for that P1 position if he possibly can. Philip Barron going into this race leading the points, and he would like to stay in that position. Bjorn Grossman down there P4 in the points. Now the incident involving those two cars that we saw, Martin Nelson and also Romelli, is under investigation, and well, from the angle that we saw, it was a pretty clear-cut case, but the race stewards will be looking at that, and their confirmation that that incident is indeed under investigation. So it's Grossman, Barron, and then it is Puglisi with Gostner, and Alessandro Vezzoni looking very lively on the back of David Gostner. Then it's Jan Dennis and Sam Smith occupying the top 7 positions at the moment. The best of the Am drivers is Sam Smith in the second of the yellow cars that you'll see on the screen. That's the first one. That's Jan Dennis then, who is running in P6. the final of the pro drivers. So it's all pros at the front at the moment, with Sam Smith the best of the AM drivers in P7. Brilliant shot from our helicopter then. Shows you just how complicated and how they're going into this downhill section here at Mugello right now. And it's not until you really drive the circuit that you appreciate the elevation changes that come across the 5.2 kilometers of the Mugello circuit. Grossman with just under 9/10 ahead of Philip Barron across the last sector. And there you can see the damage to the rear of the number 94 car of Giuseppe Romelli. It was he that clattered into the car of Martin Nelson. Now, Martin Nelson, sadly, is in the pit lane. Do hope that he's able to continue from that. But there is our race leader for Octane 126. It's Bjorn Grossman then, who's well, kept his margin pretty comfortable at just under a second, 9/10 of a second between himself and Philip Barron. And those three are beginning to break away a bit from David Gosner, but Gosner is really having to concentrate and focus on defending from that guy, which is Alessandro Vezzoni. A little bit of a wobble there from Bjorn Grossman off the final turn here, the Buccini turn at Mugello, and Philip Barron, as they cross the timing line now, has brought the gap down. He's pulled a 10th back. Drive-through penalty is going to be issued to car number 94, that of Giuseppe Romelli, for causing that incident, which sadly has taken Martin Nelson out of the race. There, confirmation on screen for you of that drive-through penalty for car number 94, Giuseppe Romelli, who is out there on track, but is P14, stone last at the moment, and well, that position will be confirmed with the drive-through penalty, which has got to be taken within 3 laps of being notified to the driver. So there is Puglisi then, and here is a replay of the start from the helicopter. And as the lights went green then, and you can see there that Puglisi really was caught napping. Bjorn Grossman and Philip Barron really taking advantage of that. And well, Puglisi losing out on a place. Now, Sam Smith was hung out to dry here a bit on the outside, and that was the incident which saw Martin Nelson turned around by Giuseppe Romelli, and Martin Nelson sadly out of the race now. Whoa, and a very sideways moment then from Bjorn Grossman. Now, he, over the last lap, really pushed and has increased the gap back to Philip Barron by 1.1 seconds now, but he was really pushing that car and just momentarily lost the back end of it. So here is Barron then in the all blue, the metallic blue colours of Rosso Corsa, and there is Puglisi driving car number 9, and in to take his drive-through penalty is Giuseppe Romelli then, and from say from hero to zero, but to be fair, he's now going to pull out of the pit lane and is actually going to come out right into the thick of the action now, just alongside Jan Dennis and ahead of Sam Smith, which is a little bit disadvantageous. Presumably he'll allow the rest of the cars to come through, and there is the Martin Nelson car then damaged, as I said, during that collision, for which Giuseppe Romelli has just taken that drive-through penalty for. So sad to see, because Martin Nelson was P2 in the AM points going into this, and this is the best AM at the moment, Sam Smith from Stratstone Ferrari, and it is Sam Smith that is top of the TropheoPirelli AM points, and in actual fact for him, Martin Nelson, his closest challenger in the points, being in the pit lane with damage, plays into Sam's hands a bit. So the number 92 car, run by the FF Corsa team, is running in P7 overall, but best AM driver. And there is the number 92 car with the Union flag displayed on the rear wing. These Evo 458s with that big rear wing, really aiding downforce. John Ferrano is the second best placed AM driver, with Thomas O'Rourke the third best placed AM driver currently. So Grossman then extending his lead a little bit more over Philippe Barron. It's up to 1.851 seconds now. This is the 1, 2, 3 in the AM category that we're watching, and there is Tommaso Rocca, the Rosso Corsa driver, who carries the same livery as the pro driver that's P2 at the moment, Philippe Barron. There's Bjorn Grossman, race leader then. Just across the crest now comes Philippe Barron in P2. And Bjorn Grossman really is leaving him in his wake. He's got brilliant pace in that car at the moment. He extends the lead by another couple of tenths. It's now up to 2 seconds between himself and Philippe Barron. He posts the fastest lap on lap 4, a 1:54.063. 1:54.063, his best lap. Be interesting to see the speed trap figures in a few moments' time. There's Barron, and there is Puglisi. Then it's David Gosner, continuing to be hounded by Alessandro Vezzoni, and subsequently he's dropping back from the pack that are in positions 1, 2 and 3 at the moment, because he's having to focus on defend. But now Alessandro Vezzoni is in the position where he's got Jan Danis right on the back of him as well. So whilst he's trying to attack David Gosner ahead of him, he's also having to consciously think about defending his position as well. But from the attack that comes from Jan Danis. So there's Danis then in car number 37, and Alessandro Vezzoni getting a bit raggy in front of him, running off onto the gravel and kicking up some dust there. So he is feeling the pressure a bit now, and that's allowing, as you can see, David Gosner at last to think about where he is and how he can close the gap a little bit to Puglisi ahead. So if anything, the one that's under pressure now is that man, the red and black car of Alessandro Vezzoni, who won the AM title last year, but is elevated up into pro driver category for this year. We're on board with David Gosner now, and see what it's like in the cockpit of this 458 car as he wrestles with it around the final turn, and then absolute foot to the floor. You can see the speed there and the gears as well. Up into 6th gear now as David Gosner crosses the timing line now. Just look how late it is before they start braking. Just into 7th gear before he brake to turn into that San Donato turn. Brilliant shot that we're able to bring you of the Ineco MP racing driver. The flappy paddles that control the gear changes on the steering wheel there, and from our helicopter there is David Gosner. And interestingly, we've got some light rain coming down now. That's really going to bring the lap times down and could change the shape of this race. So far, first 10 minutes have been in completely dry conditions, but race control telling us that there is light rain now. Rain certainly predicted for tomorrow, but for today we didn't expect it. So 1:54.063 was the best lap from Bjorn Grossman. His last lap was a 1:54.3. And the battle for second position, as you can see, between Philippe Barron and Marcello Puglisi. And there, once again, Alessandro Vezzoni just kicking up a bit of dust then, as he continues to be hounded by Jan Danis. Fairness, it was not only Vezzoni, but David Gosner as well that ran out onto the gravel. Cheers, Franco, for giving us that. In fact, it was Gosner more than anyone else. So apologies, Alessandro, I got that one wrong. It wasn't you responsible for the dust cloud. It was the driver in front of you, David Gosner. So Grossman, Barron and Puglisi. And Bjorn Grossman driving an absolute blinder then with just under 4 seconds worth of margin over Philippe Barron in P2. So we watch Alessandro Vezzoni and Jan Danis, the final two of the pro drivers in the race. And Danis getting ever closer to Alessandro Vezzoni, and Vezzoni having to really think about where he places that car now to not leave even the slightest gap that would allow the opportunity for Jan Danis to come by. There's Philippe Barron, and Philippe Barron also is having to think about defending from Puglisi, hence that is allowing Bjorn Grossman to get up the road. Grossman increases his margin to just a shade under 5 seconds now from P1 to P2, and then you can see it's just 5 tenths between P2 and P3. Philippe Barron and Puglisi then in the number 9 car. Marcello Puglisi Did a good job in free practice, also qualifying as well, was on the P2 place on the grid, but was caught napping a little bit at the start, and Philip Barron was able to take advantage of that. So we're approaching half distance in the race. And those are the standings in the pro category. Grossman, Barron, Puglisi and Gosner, with Vezzoni and Danis P5 and P6. Before we see the best of the AM drivers, which is Sam Smith there. He's into picture now. And then it's John Ferrano, then Thomas O'Rourke and Andrea Zegler. The top four with Benenati, Noflak, Fangio, the rest. So John Ferrano then in car number 59, who is running P2 in the AM category. And there, even the battle between David Gosner and Alessandro Vezzoni and Jan Danis as, well, they've sort of eked out a cushion between each other now. Heavy braking from the Marcello Puglisi car. You can see the brake discs utterly light up there and shine red here in Mugello. Lap times 1:54.592 for Bjorn Grossman last time around, which was a full 1.2 tenths quicker than Philippe Barron. As Barron continues to consider Puglisi behind and defend from Puglisi, although Puglisi is nothing like quick enough to really have a go at Barron. But all that is playing into the hands of Bjorn Grossman, who's able to get up the road and has done so to the tune of 5.7 seconds. There's Alessandro Vezzoni and Jan Danis. And they have pulled away nicely from Sam Smith, who is the best of the AM drivers. So this battle for P5 is between Alessandro Vezzoni and Jan Danis. And once again, Danis just gets a bit closer to Alessandro Vezzoni now. Turn number 11 is the turn where everyone was warned during free practice and qualifying about respecting the track limits. In fact, several of the fastest times from qualifying taken away because of excursions out of the track limits at turn number 11. So Vezzoni now having to make that 4.58 as wide as he possibly can to defend against the clutches of Jan Danis. So around the turn number 14, the final turn here at Mugello, as we reach half distance in the race. Grossman has almost checked out and disappeared because he is now 6.7 seconds to the good in the lead over Philippe Barron. Just taking a look at the inside was Jan Danis, but nothing like close enough to be able to actually make a pass there. Alessandro Vezzoni got it all wrapped up in defence at the moment. Just half a lap or so ago, he was getting very close. Martin Nelson has returned back out on track, which is good to see, and is chasing down that car of Benenati at the moment. So Martin Nelson then getting past the Benenati car, and he's probably 5 laps down, Martin Nelson, with the time that was spent in the pit lane, courtesy of that incident with Romelli right at the start of the race. Meantime, Puglisi and Barron continue their quest. They're occupying the final 2 positions of the pro podium at the moment. And Barron looks like he's got everything that Puglisi can throw at him completely and totally under control. There is Bjorn Grossman. Sorry, we've hardly seen Bjorn, the Octane 126 driver, on track, and that is because he's 7.5 seconds up the road. Really has driven like a demon on the first 15 minutes of the race and has left these two in his wake by some measure. Well, by 7.5 seconds. So around turn 14 goes Philip Barron and Marcello Puglisi. And they cross the timing line now. Puglisi is closer than he's ever been to Philip Barron. He takes a look, he dives to the outside. Look, for outright pace, Puglisi has got it. He's able to just drive past Philip Barron. Extraordinary. There was absolutely nothing Philip had in defence there. Puglisi just absolutely nailed it down the start-finish straight and has taken P2 back again, if you like, because that's where he started on grid, and that position was taken away from him by Philip Barron. Now, surely, Philip, knowing him as I do, there has got to be some small issue with that car to allow Puglisi to have that pace advantage. Absolutely extraordinary. Now, both of them running for the same team, Grossman, Puglisi, Barron. Well, Grossman runs for Octane 126, Puglisi and Barron both for Rosso Corsa. There is Bjorn Grossman, the Octane 126 driver, who's 8.5 seconds up the road. And with 8.5 seconds up the road, it doesn't really matter what Marcello Puglisi has got. He ain't going to be able to catch him unless Bjorn Grossman makes a very, very uncharacteristic mistake of some measure. 8.8 seconds, the cushion that he has. He's pushed the car hard, but driving well within both the car and his ability, that's for sure. So Alessandro Vezzoni and Jan Dennis continue to trade places. Jan Dennis on the outside of Alessandro Vezzoni, got punted around. Now, if he's quick on it here, but he's dragged a load of gravel onto the track. Sam Smith is going to be able to get past him, maybe John Ferrano as well. Well, here it is, Vezzoni and Dennis absolutely side by side. Now, that's a really difficult one to call. It's a brilliant shot from the helicopter because they were side by side. And how far alongside? Well, from that angle, it looked like Vezzoni wasn't far enough alongside, but don't know. Very, very difficult to call that one. That'll be under investigation for sure. But that has changed the positions significantly, because now we have got an AM driver, and well, just as I imagined, the incident involving cars 27 and 37 is under investigation. So best AM driver is this man, Sam Smith, then, who did jolly well to avoid the returning Jan Dennis car. Best pro, Bjorn Grossman, by 9.2 seconds. And as I mentioned, that incident involving Jan Dennis and Alessandro Vezzoni is going to be under investigation. Now, David Gosner is getting ever closer to Philip Barron, which reinforces what I said earlier, that surely there is perhaps a potential problem with the Philip Barron car that is causing him to be off the pace. But after saying that, Gosner just tips the back end of the car into the gravel. But David Gosner is ever closer to Philip Barron. And Philip Barron at the moment is in P3, but David Gosner, who we're on board with right now, getting ever closer to him. Across the rumble strips, you can almost feel that through your television set, can't you? And well, Philip Barron there just wide. Gosner up through the inside, not quite. Didn't quite have the pace, and once again he runs off really wide this time, taking the grass as well as the half the pit lane and the runoff area. So David Gosner then, as his tyres are wearing down and he's pushing ever harder, that might just, with 8.5 minutes left to run, have cost him the potential podium, I think. Here it is, he got ever closer to Philip Barron, but there, well, it was well controlled by David Gosner through the gravel. That's where it just, the back end snapped away from him. He controlled it well, kept the momentum through the gravel, over the grass, part of the pit lane, then the chevrons and back out onto track again. But with just 8 minutes remaining, I wonder whether he can get close enough to Philip Barron now to have another go. Perhaps he can, because Philip Barron is certainly not. Let me take a look at his lap times. 1:56.984, so very nearly 1:57. And well, Grossman and Puglisi lapping in the 55s, so some issue with the pace of that Philip Barron car, no issue with the pace of that Sam Smith car. He is the best AM, and he's got some 2.2 seconds margin over John Ferrano, who is P2 in the AM category, with Thomas O'Rourke P3 in the AM category. So it's Grossman, Puglisi, Barron, Gosner, Vezzoni, the top 5 all-pro drivers. Now the other pro driver, Jan Danis, who was involved in that incident with Alessandro Vezzoni, is in the pit lane. Well, no further action going to be taken on the 27-37 incident, which I think is possibly pretty fair. It's a very, very hard one to call from even all the camera angles that we saw. Being put down as just a racing incident. Well, it's a racing incident that's cost Jan Danis because he is in the pit lane. There's Thomas O'Rourke then, who's P3 in the AMs at the moment, with the same livery as the Philip Barron car, who Philip Barron has still got a margin of a couple of seconds over David Gosner. So just reckon that Philip Barron might be able to hold on to that final podium place come the end of the race in around about 6.5 minutes time. But Thomas O'Rourke then in car number 97, 267 kilometers per hour through the speed trap, as you can see. Grossman now is 11.1 seconds up the road from Marcello Puglisi. Absolutely extraordinary driving from Bjorn Grossman. He set the fastest lap on lap 4 of the race. And Peter Noflak and Fangio here, heading down towards turn number 1. So the Kessel driver Noflak really under pressure now from the Fangio car. And all of a sudden the pace that he has found in that 41 machine, Frederic Jean-Marie Fangio, is now chasing down Peter Noflak. Noflak just looking a little bit wayward in terms of some of the lines he's taken, and Fangio trying to take advantage of that. So many uphill and downhill sections in this Mugello circuit. So that number 41 machine currently running in P12, but trying to wrestle away P11 from Peter Noflak ahead. And getting ever closer. So the Kessel engineered Noflak in P11. Really under the pressure now, under the cosh a bit from Fangio, who really is driving that 4.58 through the Biondetti chicane. Heading up towards the final turn here. And now, well, David Gosner has got onto the back of Philip Barron with 4 minutes left to run. So what can Barron do to stick his elbows out and deny that Ineco MP driver from taking away his podium position that he has currently? He's got to defend for another 3 3/4 minutes. And we're on board with David Gosner now. And the speed with which Gosner has been able to catch up to Philip Barron really, really reinforcing the point that there's clearly an issue with the Barron car, which testament to Philip that if he's able to drive that and maintain his current P3 position. But David Gosner is right on him now. This is where it all went wrong for Gosner last time. And that in replay was just how far he is pushing that car. It was actually here where it went wrong for Gosner last time around, as he Just tried to scrub off that speed. He ended up in the gravel and across the grass as well. But now Philip Barron is really feeling the pressure as Gosner now puts the pressure on as they head towards turn number 1. Gosner is going to dive to the outside now. Philip Barron doing everything he can to try and defend that position, but Gosner has just driven past him in much the same way that Puglisi did. And there's nothing that Philip Barron can do to really defend against that. The pace advantage that David Gosner has means that puts him into P3, which would be, I think I'm right in saying, the very best result for David Gosner thus far, who's taken 2 P4s in the pro category in the first 2 races in Monza. So he would be up on the podium. So turns 4 and 5 for David Gosner and Philip Barron. It's the downhill section now through Casanova and then Savelli, and then it's Arrabbiati 1 and Arrabbiati 2 that the drivers have to contemplate. And you can see how Gosner has just, well, he's just flown away from Philip Barron. Here's the overtaking replay then. Was wondering about going for the inside line. Barron had definitely got that door closed, so knew he was going to have to go the outside, but had got the pace advantage. It was whether he'd got the ability to brake and make it around that turn number 1. And there you can see he certainly did have, and Gosner was able to make that move stick, and he has gone up into P3. So it's now Grossman by nearly 13 seconds. As Fangio gets it all terribly wrong and locked up at the back. It's Grossman by some 13 seconds over Puglisi. Then it's this man, David Gosner, in P3. Those are the 1, 2, 3 for the pros. For the AMs, it's Smith, Ferrano, and Roca. And where's the time gone? We're on the final lap. So Bjorn Grossman then, who extended his margin out front, and is now leading by 14 seconds. I kid you not. This man has driven a demon of a race. The car engineered by Octane 126, who are clearly doing a very, very good job in terms of engineering that car. The setup absolutely perfect, and Bjorn Grossman is able to drive it with not only skill but style as well for Octane 126. I guess that's why he is the TropheoPirelli champion. And Bjorn Grossman then the remainder of this lap to do before he takes the checkered flag. And interestingly, it will be his first win of the season. Wasn't able to take a win in the first 2 races at Monza, but barring major disaster here, he will take the win in race 1 in Mugello for Bjorn Grossman as those brake discs light up. The gold and white liveried Bjorn Grossman car on the final lap for Octane 126 through the Biondetti chicane. Brakes now for the Buccini turn. And it is just this turn, and then in sight will be the checkered flag for the Octane 126 driver Bjorn Grossman to take win number 1 of season 2016. Great win from Bjorn Grossman. It should be Marcello Puglisi, but he's going to be several seconds behind, some 14.5 seconds behind to take P2. Here he comes then, and being chased all the way by David Gosner, but it is Puglisi that takes P2. Crosses the line now. Here comes David Gosner, who was getting ever closer to take P3. Then Philip Barron having to contend himself with P4. Then we will see Alessandro Vezzoni rounding out the pro drivers. The best AM driver is this man from the UK. Sam Smith wins in Mugello with John Ferrano. Tommaso Roca, but Roca chased all the way by Andreas Segler. So the 1, 2, 3 pros, Grossman, Puglisi, Gosner, and then it's Smith, Ferrano and Roca in the AMs. Here comes Benanati then, who will make it to P10 overall. Can just see from some of the lenses on our cameras, we'll little drops of rain, but the sun has come out once again now. So checkered flag continues to fall on the stragglers, and Fangio being one of those, and Romelli, who made it back into the race, and so too did Martin Nelson in the end. The only retirement effectively was Jan Dennis. So there is Martin Nelson, who sadly won't be as high up the AM order as he wanted to be. But another commanding performance from Bjorn Grossman. There is the Benenati car. Andrea Benenati, the Style F Squadra Corsa driver. You can just see Bjorn Grossman making his way into Parc Fermé now. Another fine performance from the Octane 126 driver. Good driving from David Gosner as well for an AECO MP Racing. Was able to catch Philippe Baron and wrestle away that P3, and wasn't far away from Puglisi either towards the end. Okay, the top three in each category then: Grossman, Puglisi and Gosner for the pros, with Smith, Ferrano and Roca the 1, 2, 3 in the AM category. Christian, then, the boss of Octane 126, congratulates his driver Bjorn Grossman. It was absolute perfection, both from the driver and from the car as well. So well engineered. Just see Puglisi coming into the P2 place, and it'll be David Gosner to come into P3. Here comes Gosner down the pit lane now. Gosner family await the congratulations. There they go. You can see how pleased they are. David releases the seat, jumps out of the car. His first podium of the year. Thomas's father congratulates him. There's Corinna, and there is Manuela as well. Real great racing family congratulating David Gosner for taking his P3. Some nice art through the windows. And there, a real Gosner family portrait. Eric Prinot in there to offer congratulations as well. Here are the highlights. As the lights went green then, it was Marcello Puglisi that was caught napping, truthfully, because Bjorn Grossman was always likely to convert P1 into the race lead, but Philippe Baron went through to take P2 as well. Chased then by Marcello Puglisi, who'd also got David Gosner for company too. Sam Smith hung out on the outside, was always going to be a loser to a couple of places, but not as big a loser as Martin Nelson and Romelli. Nelson having gone round, Romelli deemed to be at fault and having to take a drive-through penalty for it. But Bjorn Grossman, once he got his nose in front, just lap after lap after lap, consistently made the margin ever bigger at the front. Philippe Baron did his level best to defend, but clearly some issue with the car. First of all, allowed Marcello Puglisi through. Alessandro Vezzoni and Dennis had a coming together, and that was deemed to be a racing incident. No further action taken, though Dennis had to retire from the race. Despite Philippe Baron's stoic defence, David Gosner would eventually overcome, but it was this save which was the most impressive part, I think, of David Gosner's drive. Philippe Baron continued to defend, but this man had it all his own way. Bjorn Grossman, another outstanding drive, finishing the race some 19 seconds to the good over Marcello Puglisi. An outstanding victory. So everyone assembled in the pit lane, ready for the podium ceremony. And there will be two podiums, one for the pro category and one for the AM category. In the Drivers' Championship then, Philippe Baron still leads, but Bjorn Grossman now P2 in the championship, just 8 points behind him. Boy, that's tantalising for the race tomorrow. David Gosner P4 with Babalus, who's not racing this weekend, P3. As the graphics indicate, we'll be heading up to the podium any moment now for the two podium ceremonies. One for the TropheoPirelli Pro category and one for the AM category as the Gosner sisters look on. And there is David Gosner taking P3. Marcello Puglisi then, P2. And Bjorn Grossman. One of the most outstanding drives from Bjorn Grossman, and Christian Berchinger there from Octane 126. National anthem. National anthem plays out then for Bjorn Grossman, whose outstanding victory. Antonello Coletta, the head of Ferrari GT Sporting Activities, then making the trophy presentations, first of all to David Gosner, then to Marcello Puglisi, and now to the race winner, Bjorn Grossman. And the team's trophy to go to Octane 126 then. And yet another trophy. It's the Pirelli trophy that goes the way of Bjorn Grossman. And they all bunch up together then for the photographs. First podium of the year for David Gosner. He'll be pleased with that. Mr. Berchinger makes haste his escape as Bjorn Grossman gets utterly covered. Well done. Great driving from those three. Let's see the top three in super slow-mo then. David Gosner for Ineco MP Racing then takes P3. It's P2 for Marcello Puglisi then, the Rosso Corsa driver, taking the second step on the podium. But absolutely no discounting this drive from Bjorn Grossman, who finished some 19 seconds ahead of anybody else to take the race win. Next up then, we'll be bringing you the AM podium. They'll just put the mop together. And there's the Drivers' Championship in AM. Sam Smith leading that. Martin Nelson, of course, having his points haul destroyed today. So Sam Smith with a really commanding position on 63 points at the top of the AM Drivers' Championship. Then it's Nelson, Ferrano, Segler, Benanati, Roca, Fischer, Ramelli, Yakaskin, and Noflak, the top 10. So we can hear that the podium for the AM Drivers is about to be readied. There's Tommaso Roca, dancing his way. John Ferrano. And Sam Smith then. And the UK national anthem is the one that's going to play out as FF Corsa come up as the winning team. Mr. Antonello Coletta, once again the head of Ferrari GT Sporting Activities, makes the trophy presentation to Tommaso Roca. for P3. Then to John Ferrano for P2. And the winner's trophy going the way of Sam Smith. So that adding to his victory in race 2 in Monza. Also, he will receive the Pirelli trophy. So they'll all get together then for the photographs. And Sam Smith then with a really commanding position going into the race tomorrow. And Tommaso Rocca is the fastest with the champagne. And here we have some slow-mos, super slow-mos of the AM drivers, and the winner then, Sam Smith, driving for Stratstone Ferrari, engineered by FF Corsa, taking second win of the season so far. 2 wins out of 3 races and a P2 in the other race. It's not bad going at all for Sam Smith. That's why he is right at the top of the AM category championship at the moment in that very car there, number 92. So well done to Sam Smith. Well done to John Ferrano and also Tommaso Rocca as well. Really, really good racing from the AM drivers. And we have another race to come for the TropheoPirelli category of the Ferrari Challenge tomorrow to look forward to. Although the weather conditions are set to be very, very different tomorrow. We've seen just some drops of rain during the course of the race today. I don't think it affected the race too much. But when it comes to tomorrow, the talk is of an altogether different weather forecast. So we will see, but certainly rain is in prospect tomorrow. All the information, of course, at races.ferrari.com. David Ghostner then, the P3 driver in the Pro category. That's done him no harm in terms of his points haul. Just taking a look at some of the highlights that came from that TropheoPirelli race. 1 point being chased very, very hard by Alessandro Vezzoni, but David Ghostner able to hold his own. Also holding his own with that and mixing it with the Pro boys at times as well, as this AM driver Sam Smith from the UK. Martin Nelson in the Scuderia Autoropa car, well, suffered from that earlier incident which saw his car turned around. It was very much viewed as being the responsibility of someone else, and that someone else getting a drive-through penalty as a consequence of that. Next race is Copa tomorrow at 10:35 GMT, the Copa race. Please join us for that if you possibly can. And as I say, in weather conditions that are going to be altogether different as we take a look at some of the shots from this Mugello circuit here, home of round 2 of the Ferrari Challenge. Some wonderful shots we're able to bring you to. We've had 2 pretty exciting races today, and we're expecting the weather to play its part in making 2 races tomorrow. Really rather exciting as well. So there we have it from Mugello. Race 1 done for Copa, race 1 done for TropheoPirelli. Thank you so much for being part of it. Please join us for more racing from the Ferrari Challenge tomorrow.